All right.
Negotiate. Buying a car.
Yeah, we should do it. This week has nothing to do with real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
What was the last one?
How to cook scrambled eggs, right?
Action.
Jackson.
Nope.
What's up, people?
Friday.
It is Funky Friday.
You know, you always say what's up, people, and then I, for some reason, just blurt out the day of the week.
What's up, people? Friday!
Just to remind everybody that I'm still here.
This is our last video of the week in our series of how to negotiate stuff. Real estate stuff.
It is.
How do we negotiate an appraisal?
How do you negotiate an appraisal?
Right. So ideally, what happens is you have an appraisal. It all comes back good.
Great.
On value, no repairs. Everybody's happy. There is nothing to negotiate.
It's lovely when that
right? We move forward and we're all good.
Yep.
And that's usually, for most transactions, that's usually the last hurdle. We got like loan commit afterwards, but it's usually the last big hurdle to tackle in the real estate transaction. But what if it doesn't?
Right.
What if it comes in a couple $1,000s short, $20,000 short,
right?
a ton short? What happens? There is some negotiation there, possibly.
Right.
Okay. So worst case is it falls apart.
Yeah.
Right. Like if an appraisal is tens of thousands of dollars short, it may fall apart.
It's tough to pull that back.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the way it is. We're not going to get into like loan types and the impact it has. We're not going to get into that right now. But it's hard to say that. But let's be more reasonable. What if it's $5,000 short?
Right.
What happens then? How do we negotiate that? That's a reasonable difference to make up.
Sure.
So you can do a couple things, right? So from the seller standpoint, obviously, you can lower the price.
Right.
That's the easiest thing to do. Lower the price a full $5,000.
Well, that's what the buyer's going to ask you to do.
That's of course
The first thing they're going to say, lower the price.
And so from the seller side, we just have to look at the net, look at what you're doing, and weigh it, right? So what's your mortgage payment? Is your mortgage payment $5,000?
Right.
Is the difference of closing in 2 weeks versus closing, putting it back on the market, and now waiting another 2 months, which is now going to cost you $10,000? That's a no-brainer.
Right.
Lower the price.
Right.
Okay. So again, we just look at that net to the seller and decide that.
Right.
From the buyer side, what can you do?
So the first thing is to ask the seller to lower the price.
Right. Yeah.
If they refuse, you have two options from there. You can terminate the deal, which is like pulling the ripcord on that, or you can bring the difference in cash to the settlement table.
Yeah.
So in your scenario, if it underappraises by $5,000, the seller refuses to lower the price, but you love the house, you can then, because the bank's not going to loan you that extra $5,000 for financing, you then would have to add basically $5,000 to your cash to close, your closing costs.
Correct. Yeah.
And you would make up that difference.
Right.
So those are the options.
And there's some middle ground too, right? I mean, you could
always meet
lower
the
25, bring 25.
Yeah, I mean, so that
table,
again, it's negotiated.
Right. Yeah.
So the first thing that's going to happen is, hey, Quincy, your house underappraised by $5,000, lower the price.
Right.
Quincy comes back and says, no.
Right.
Then we can terminate as the buyer. But typically, if you're okay with bringing some, this is probably one of the only times we're meeting in the middle is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the deal's going to fall apart.
Right.
You got to look for another house. They got to put their house back on the market.
Right.
Nobody wants that. We're 40 days into this already.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's meet in the middle. Let's be reasonable.
That's a win-win for everybody in that situation. Yeah. So that's it. It's another week.
All right. In the books.
See you on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend.
What are we going to talk about? We're running out of stuff.
We're gonna go back to video 1 and we're gonna start over.
See if anybody notices.
Nobody will notice, and if you do notice, say something.
I'll wear the same shirt.
I'll give you $100 to the first person who notices if we talk about the same thing we talked about in our first video.
Well, but now we'll talk about it on Monday, and they're gonna go back.
Okay.
And you just paid $100 for no reason.
Whoever,
you just told them what's gonna
Whoever
happen.
comments first, I will give them if somebody actually says it.
I'm not gonna pay you. He can.
It's coming out of your split. No, bye.